So where are we headed as a movement? In order to take a look at where we are headed as a movement, we must first take a look at the broader social and political context in which we work for full equality. This context has now shifted radically. The most obvious change is that for the first time in our nation's history, we have as a president a black man, Barack Obama. This is good for speeches in the next year, anytime you say the president's name. Candidate Obama recognized and affirmed a grassroots hunger for change. This year saw record numbers of young people, people of color, and progressive people coming out to vote, and we are a better country for it. This does indeed feel like a new political era for our country and for our movement. I believe the power of this historic moment is the seismic shift in this country from a culture of I to a culture of we. Obama ran with a mantra of yes, we can. Obama didn't say yes, I can or yes, you can. He said yes, we can. The mantra, of course, carries on the organizing legacy of the United Farm Workers and Dolores Huerta. This unifying we invites each of us into the work ahead, into the reclaiming of a government that has turned its back on so many, into challenging the long-held beliefs and practices of who holds power, how power is used, and who benefits from the use of power. Obama's we challenges the culture of I that has been so core to this country's very identity. The image of rugged individualism and pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. This imagery has been bolstered and perpetuated by scenes like Ronald Reagan riding his horse on the ranch, and George Bush clearing brush on his ranch. This iconic imagery is finally being challenged, and we are now off the ranch, and we have to move back into the we of urban energy and creativity, the we of close family ties and community in rural areas, the we that has been at the center of the farm workers, civil rights, feminist, and labor movements. We are only just beginning to see the manifestations and the benefits from this massive cultural shift, and our community, the LGBT community, is expert at showing the nation just what is possible when we come together. This historic moment plays to our strengths. After all, our community built an entire infrastructure of service and support for people with HIV when our own president did not have the decency to speak the syndrome's name. Our community overturned sodomy laws in a nation that possesses an intense fear of sexuality. And our community put gender identity legislation and family protections on a political map. We have much to offer this country. So now it is our time to contribute again, to express moral leadership and creative fortitude. It is our time to hold steady as we are being attacked at the ballot box and on the streets, to hold steady as we share our talents and ideas and are pushed back, to hold steady as we assert how we create family. The state of our movement is expansive. In fact, the success of our aspirations will only be limited by the expansiveness of our vision and the assertion of what is in our hearts. There are a few things we must do to make the most of this moment and to navigate the waters of this new era. First, this moment calls for a new kind of leadership in the LGBT movement. Not the leadership of one, but the collaborative leadership of many. Don't get me wrong, the task force and I will assert leadership. But at the task force, We believe that strength comes not from hoarding power, but by building power and sharing power and using power for good. Much of our work is done through coalitions and at convenings like Creating Change. We are the leaders in this room and beyond this room. We are the leaders in what is good and right and just in this country. When we insist that LGBT people be involved in policy conversations about the economy, about healthcare benefits, about tax policy, about immigration, as we have been doing with the Obama transition team and administration, we assert our community's moral leadership. When we win marriage equality in Maine, Iowa, New Jersey, and other states, and we will, we assert our community's moral leadership. When we pass a gender identity inclusivenda, and we will, we assert our community's leadership. The work to get rid of useless abstinence-only education, we assert our community's leadership. When we stand shoulder to shoulder with our friends in labor and women's group, as the task force did yesterday morning at the White House for the signing of the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act, sustain and maintain people of color leaders, we assert our community's moral leadership. The second thing we must do is to think differently about who our playmates are. Take it in as you will. I was a Girl Scout when I was growing up, and there was this song. Another Girl Scout. Yeah. So there was a song, make new friends, keep the old, one is silver, the other is gold. So many Girl Scouts. We'll do a policy institute for that. So we will certainly keep our LGBT organizational friends, but it is time for us to make new, substantive, and strategic friendships with non-LGBT organizations with which we share common concerns. The time for isolating ourselves as a movement is over. So, in the coming years, you will see the task force partnering with some perhaps surprising organizations. We will ask them to show up for us, and we will show up for them. We will build on the relationships we already have with organizations like AARP, with whom we've worked on national policy change, and with Planned Parenthood and NAACP in the states on ballot measures. We must have new plans. Third, so many of our straight friends and family are with us, and we must find ways for them to make a difference in the pursuit for equality. They are near and dear to our hearts. They are willing to work with us, they want to work with us, and they are waiting to work with us. Among the most striking experiences for me in this last year have been my conversations with people across the country who are straight, not the least of which was with my 92-year-old grandmother, who has been my cheerleader and was absolutely crushed when she was not well enough to make it to our wedding. Next week, the task force will be a partner in launching a new campaign called Tell 3, headed up by the ACLU and Join the Impact, along with many other organizations. This campaign is simply about talking to the people in our lives about issues that matter to us as LGBT people. We ask each and every one of you to go to our website next week to take part in what could be, with your help, the most massive friends and family education effort ever launched. If everyone at Creating Change has meaningful, real conversations with 3 people